Hello, everybody. Welcome to another daily dose of gaming news and all that good stuff. And as always, I also publish on Rumble and on Patreon for extra support. Any kind of news and updates, usually I go about on Twitter X. And later today, we'll have another Midnight Suns episode, having a blast with that game. It's a recommendation, especially when it's discounted. And just a quick reminder that I have also some completed gameplay series. The 4K are the most recent ones, 1080p are the older ones. Yeah, let's go to the news. Supposedly, there was a quote from Kojima saying, I think it was mistranslated or taken a little bit out of the context, that saying that the game was only around 30 to 40% complete, even with the launch window for next year. Again, this comes at least from this tweet that again from IGN, they are excellent. That they are so good that they cannot even translate Japanese, or trying to make sense of Japanese to English. Again, this comes from Kojima talking about he's currently balancing the parts of the game the individuals team have done. He just says 30 to 40% in mid sentence. Again, whether that's 30% of what he's doing is finished, or which makes more sense than just trying to refer that the game is only 30 to 40% complete, given that the launch window is for next year. Again, doesn't make a lot of sense there. Um, I think it's what makes more sense, given that he's even posting on tweet on X that he is currently doing. I don't. In the English version is not. It's not balancing the game, that it says working on the game or something like that. Again, I think he's trying to put together everything that the developers did so far. Even the voiceover is still ongoing. I think it's basically the Japanese voiceover, because the English version, mostly the voice actors and the motion capture is made by non-Japanese persons. We got Ellen Fanning, we got Sam, which is from Norman Readers. We got other actors and actresses that I completely forgot their names. Lia Seydoux, I think she's called. Again, when they do this motion capture, they also doing the voiceover, I suppose. So I think it's mostly the Japanese voiceover that is being done. Also, again, it might be 30 to 40% depending how Kojima is working on that. But I think the main focus of the this number is, I think, is doing the, I don't know, the collage of the works of everybody, and is basically around 30 to 40% on that specific task that is doing there. At least that's my perception. I didn't even when I saw 30 to 40%, that's my overall thought that went there, um, because it doesn't make any sense. Just for the time that he's been working on this game, and the fact that the launch window for next year has already been announced, doesn't make any sense. You're still not even half on the path there. Again, I will assume after his work is done, again, it will give his feedback to, or he is giving his feedback to the teams to improve, tweak, whatever is need to be done, so the game is completed. But yeah, we saw this again, just a basically clarification, and I still need to complete this game, the first one. Um, I have not been playing this game for a long time. I need to put myself on par and at least trying to finish up this game. I think is going to be a task here for me, for especially for the live stream schedule there. But it's going to be a little bit tricky at this moment in time trying to do that. But yeah, basically this is it regarding the Stranding 2. We got also a new Elden Ring patch for the version to levels up the game to 1.15. Supposedly, it's more focused on improving performance and fixing bugs. Again, improving performance still is a little bit not clarified. They just put it out saying several performance improvements and other bug fixes. Even though the fixes are more gameplay wise. For example, cutscene stuff there, weapons doing things they are not supposed to or should be able to now start doing supposedly what they needed to be done. Nothing in terms of balancing. But the main gist here is regarding the PlayStation 5 version. The game might improve frame rate stability by using rebuild database option from the console save mode, which is something that even after the update is you don't see any kind of uplift in performance or more stability. You can do that, and for PC. It's we still have this kind of a bug here whether ray tracing has been automatically enabled. Check also to disable it, and also the continuation of third party apps that handle mouse behavior may also negatively impact the performance of Elden Ring. And then said that there might be on the PC side of things a message that says inappropriate activity detective may appear. Even if you didn't do anything like that, just use the verify integrity of the files. You can do that on Steam pretty easily. Yeah, basically, this is it regarding Elden Ring. I still need to do my second pass there, my new game plus on this game, which is top tier. I don't think in terms of games I never enjoyed so much the exploration, the combat, and all that shit. Even though it can be frustrating because of ramp up in difficulty in some areas, but yeah, it's a challenge that when overtaken, it's very satisfactory. Um, then you got also Lords of the Fallen 2 getting its first details. Supposedly they are going to elevate the production values, gameplay improvements, and more stuff. My main concern is the fact that this sequel is going to be exclusive for Epic Game Store, mainly because they got some major investment from Epic. Again, this is not good. Doesn't bode well that much to try and be exclusive. I don't know how much they got from Epic to be exclusive, but we've been seeing some games here and there. We got the example, for example, Alan Wake 2 is still, after all this time, it still didn't make this money back from production and marketing budgets there. It still needs to even make even on that, and then we will get this game. I'm not sure how this is going to go in terms of making money. Um, Again, also for example, for Alan Wake 2, we don't see any kind of opening to other platforms, in this case Steam, and we've been seeing this from, for example, Ubisoft doing their own thing on the PC market, trying to make it basically exclusive to their own storefront, but they are letting that go as a strategy because they are so poor in sales, all of their games, that they are putting a lot of newer games on Steam. The older games that were on Steam are still there. But yeah, we got this thing with the Lords of the Fallen. Yeah, supposedly the sequel is coming out 2026, so basically year and something from now. They're still working also on Sniper Ghost Warrior and another action RPG based on a new IP. I'm not sure how. I will assume these two games will come to Steam, will not be exclusive to Epic Games, but we don't know if this investment is just for the sequel of Lord of the Fallen or if it is in the company itself, and then it will affect their own games when they launch, probably only exclusive to Epic Games Store. Again, I don't think this is a good strategy because you're not catering to the biggest player base available on the market, but yeah, you reap what you sow in that sense. So let's see how that goes. Even though Lords of the Fallen itself improved a lot since it was launched, got kind of new modes. You can do kind of a roguelike kind of a thing there in changing some settings when you play the game. But yeah, overall, I think it improved a lot in terms of performance also, and some mechanic tweaks that they did. I think it's in a better shape than it was at launch. And talking about games that have poor launches, we got here some. I don't know why they did this. In terms, I think they are trying to test the grounds here from CDPR. Um, because people tend to forget this was one of the most trustful publishers and game developer studios, at least in Europe. Um, they had a, let's say, an impeccable reputation at the as the article says here. But again, they even throw shade to certain launches of games, trying to reference The Witcher 3 compared to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And then when Cyberpunk 2077 came, it was a shit show of a launch. The game was got even the PS5 or PS5, the PlayStation when it came, it was removed from the storefront. So because it was so poorly launched and the state of the game was so bad that yeah, it took around 6 months until it come back to the PlayStation Store. So it it wasn't a good launch, even though they fully recovered basically a few years later with update 2.0 and the Phantom Liberty expansion at the same time. It basically makes the game a completely different game to a certain extent. It I think the version of this game now is more in line what they promised before launch, which is saying a lot. So it took them another 2 years to recoup to a certain degree that goodwill and deliver what they wanted to deliver on the game itself. But yeah, as a company as a whole, they are the trajectory doesn't seem that good. Even to a certain degree, they recognize in terms of this butchered launch from Cyberpunk that the goodwill of the players went to the toilet, and it's going to be very difficult to recoup that confidence on the company itself. And I think with with the things that we've been seeing here and there from the awards they give themselves with the what it was the paid menstrual leave and a lot of stuff regarding this DEI and acronym mafia stuff that they are injecting and at least marketing as adopting that on the company itself. I'm also by the fact that for the sequel Cyberpunk they specifically opened an office in Seattle, I think, specifically just to start up production on that game. Yeah, I'm not sure how this is going to go. You got the Witcher remake. We're already seeing some messaging from the Witcher remake, the original game, that they basically are making it and updating it to modern audiences, which is not a good message. It's been a little bit under the radar in a lot of sense because again, other companies are doing worse job trying to hide this than CDPR. But yeah, I'm afraid that for the foreseeable future, The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, as it is at this moment, are are the last mainstays in terms of excellence in gaming from CD Projekt. I fear that we are going to see with the Witcher remake a lot of huge blunders in terms of updating for modern audiences and the messaging that supposedly will be there. I'm not sure how they're going to turn that there, and also for the Witcher, the new Witcher trilogy, and also for the sequel for Cyberpunk. I don't know how that will go, but I will put my expectations very low and being and paying attention to what they say. Don't forget that these companies are starting to recognize that this acronym mafia messaging and checklisting of ESGs and all that stuff, it's not going well for the people that buy games. So and they are trying to basically bait and switch. They are going to start doing that strategy more, and I think we'll start to see that in some games that will be coming out next year. At least that's my perception from the overall landscape of gaming launches. Um, but yeah, hopefully I'm wrong, and we are in good hands from the IPs that will come out from CD Projekt Red there. There is also some delay for the alters. It was delayed for first quarter of 2025. This game seems pretty promising. At least the setup, you got like a big wheel, which is basically your own base where you are exploring, I think, an alien planet. And then basically the gist is you have to clone yourself with certain specializations. I will assume there will be a story hook in the middle of this, because these are all clones from the main player that it's kind of different life paths. I don't know how that will go into the story, but basically everybody has a specialization there for you to, I don't know, survive on the alien planet. Then you got, I think, some exploration mechanics there, not only managing your mobile base, but also trying to get around resources, exploration. I will assume some of it will come from the story. But yeah, it seems pretty good. 11-bit Studios usually delivers good games. We got Frostpunk 2 that was recently launched. Seems like an upgrade from the previous game. So I'm hopeful that this game might be a good one. Also, again, I assume they delayed here. Um, I don't know, hopefully for a little bit more polished. Not longer due to Q1 2024. Again, we are already in 2024. I'm not sure what this is about, but maybe this second line here is not the most correct there. But yeah, supposedly only quarter one next year. Hopefully this is a correct. Yeah, release window Q1 2025. Yeah, hopefully this is a good game. But and again, as always, don't pre-order. Wait for reviews and then make your purchase decision on that. Then we got still more Ubisoft stuff coming out. I think, if not mistaken, this comes from the video that I covered yesterday from Edimian. And in the middle of that video, if I remember correctly, there is some mentions regarding Skull and Bones. Supposedly, it is a blunder. We all know that. But in terms of values, some estimates from the insider information was between 650 to 850 million dollars spent on producing this game, which is the first quadruple A game from Ubisoft. Uh, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that much because it took over than 10 years to develop this game. There was different creative directors. A lot of people changed the seats while producing this game. I think even internal studios changed around while developing this game. Completely different versions from the initial vision of the game went through. So again, a lot of money had to be put out to, I don't know, completely change directions from the game. Again, it's a shit show of a game because it's with all this money invested in all this time, it's still compared as an inferior version of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which had, even though it was kind of bare bones in certain aspects of the naval battle stuff there, battle stuff, it was still very enjoyable and pretty engaging. I remember playing that game and doing all the naval stuff in the game. Doing the assaults on the forts was very interesting, challenging. Even the pirate ship, legendary pirate ships, was pretty interesting how they went about it. But yeah, it's still compared to this, and it's basically games as a service. Even though it costs $70, it was justified costing that much because it was, again, a quadruple A game that will justify the content delivery and the quality of that content to justify that price. And again, with all the microtransactions associated with that game. Yeah, at the time of launch, there was some reports that the game currently had almost 1 million players total at the time of the writing of that article at the time. Uh, but again, those numbers included those who had opted to play the game with 8-hour free trial provided by Ubisoft. Again, this is internal numbers, supposedly they were leaked. And at the time, they said that they spent around, I will assume $200 million on the game for the specific version that was launched. not taking into account the previous versions and all the costs associated with that. But yeah, when it came to Steam, basically August this year, yeah, max peak of 2,600 people, and at the time of this specific article, around 400 players in a 20-hour peak, and you can see the graph just slowly and steady going to the toilet there. Again, around 80% of players were lost uh, compared to the launch time frame there. And there is some estimate copies that were sold between 23 to 3400 copies sold, which no, sorry, 23,000 to 34,000 copies sold, which is around about the same kind of numbers at Concord, which were estimated to be 20,000 to 25,000. So it's kind of that bracket, which is such a low number. I even think that any kind of indie game can sell, a pretty decent indie game can sell better than this in terms of copies. But yeah, it's kind of the tidbits that were not that focused on this video from Endymion, which was focused about Ubisoft Assassin's Creed Shadow stuff. Again, a little bit of tidbits from Skull and Bones. And then we got also some rumors again with Ghost of Yōtei. When I watched the trailer, I really thought interesting the way they were going about it. I watched a couple of videos. I watched one video of I forget the channel. I'm not subscribed to that channel, so I don't remember. But they did a good observation that from what they saw there, they are Japanese. In terms of the period that is set on, and the meaning of the mountain itself and all the folklore associated with it, it's pretty much in line the same way that they did Ghost of Tsushima. Um, Even though I think it was a good option for them to go for like an anthology series, like Ghost of some part of Japan in a certain specific period. I think it's a very smart move overall. I don't have, on principle, any kind of problems of them doing, for example, a female-led kind of story revenge here. We're seeing a lot of these stories. Again, this is not, they don't ever aim for them to be very historically accurate in the way they tell the stories there. It's based on specific time periods from Japan and locations, but it's inspired on that. They take some real world references of time periods and locations from Japan, and then they play around a little bit and try to tell their own story. That's why Ghost of Tsushima was so well received, because even though it was at the time supposedly of Mongol invasion on the island of Tsushima, there was a folklore tale of the ghost of something, and then they take around and play around with that and make a very excellent game with a lot of respect, not only for architecture but culturally of that time period. They got it right. For example, the kind of weapons that they used, those kind of things, they were very kind of on point in respecting those kind of inspirations. And I don't see any issue doing that on principle with Ghost of Yōtei. What soured the reception for me was the fact that the voice actress and motion capture, she did the motion capture and also voice acting on this one. She's a completely nutcase. But yeah, even inside Sony, supposedly people were not happy and blindsided by the announcement from Sucker Punch. And again, it blindsided many people that were working on Sony that were not aware what Sucker Punch was making. There are some more codes here at the time, and that people in the mid levels at Sony were actually confused when Yōtei was announced, because they were under the impression that Shin Sakai would be getting a sequel, and they are not happy at all when it comes to response of that game, either internally at Sony right now. Again, it got at minimum when it came out, the trailer before the voice actress came out and start spewing retarded stuff there. People get mixed reaction, because again, with all this ESG stuff there and the acronym mafia checklist stuff there, people are very reticent, and when they see something, specifically a female main character or something in those lines, or when they see something modern audience, people rightly so taking are always taken aback and put a step backwards, and they get very suspicious because we already have a lot of reasons to be suspicious regarding this stuff. But yeah, the fact that the voice actress is a complete nutcase, um, she's not good in the head. Especially these women's, I don't know, extremist feminism and victim, professional victims of whatever there is. Um, they are completely insane. In this case, Erika Ishii. Yeah. Um, Not good. I'm not covering the comments here and there because it's mixed reaction. So even though a lot of people said that the fact that there is like a feminine or female main character, and the fact that Hokkaido Mountain, which is here, what it's called Mount of the Yōtei Mountain, something like that, as kind of feminine stuff, feminine energy correlation there. There is some stuff there that they can take advantage of that to try and tell a story of kind of, they might say female empowerment, but I think I think what I took from the trailer was more about the story of revenge, and it was by chance that the main character is female. That was my first impression when I watched the trailer for the first time. But after seeing this actress, this nutcase, I'm a little bit taken aback now. Um, mm, Again, if I can speculate, is maybe Sucker Punch wanted to do like a sequel to the Ghost of Tsushima, direct sequel, taking into account continuing with the story of Jin. Again, I never played the first game, so I'm not sure how the story ends there. But again, taking the information that Jin Sakai is expected to getting a sequel, so I suppose he survived and he was in a shape of I don't know, having a different arc for a supposed sequel. Um, if I have to speculate, maybe there was that mandate. Again, we saw internal documents from Sony here, from Kabrutas. He mentioned here the corporate report here of just double down on stupid ESG acronym stuff there. Um, I will assume that they had a mandate from the higher ups, given that Sucker Punch is the first party studio from PlayStation and Sony. I think they had the mandate, and maybe they took that mandate and trying to massage it so they can, I don't know, uh, make it a good game still with a good story, but basically taking just the main character there. I don't know. It's my speculation, and I'm speculating this because of the first game, the way they went about it, and how they did approach the first game, Ghost of Tsushima. I'm assuming that they took the same approach, but they were mandated at least putting a female character there as a main character. At least that's my perception there. Hopefully, I'm right in the fact that they managed to massage the inclusion of having to put a female, so they put it 300 years afterwards in a different location, so there is not direct correlation of screwing up Ghost of Tsushima in that sense, and they try to distance the best they could away from Jin Sakai and his story and Ghost of Tsushima and Tsushima location, to put it in a different context 300 years later. And if you have to put a female protagonist, okay, we'll try to distance ourselves the best we can and try to arrange and tell a good story and provide a good game. Hopefully that's the final result, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see for next year and see how this will go. But yeah, on principle, again, I don't have any issues having female protagonists or whatever it is, as long as again, I don't like any normal person, I don't like to be preached or have any kind of messaging just blurred out of the game itself. Again, every game or every form of art has some message they want to deliver, but the more subtle and open-ended that it can be done, the better, because it leaves for the player to interpret the way the message is delivered. The same thing, Elden Ring has a lot of messaging there regarding power, corruption, and a lot of ideologies there that you can interpret in a multitude of different ways. The same way that every good game does can try to deliver certain messages, but leaves the message to be interpreted in different ways, and doesn't give how do I say it, an interpretation directly. It's the best way that I can put it at this moment. I'm talking in this case Elden Ring because it's a top tier game. But yeah, every game will try to get a message because sometimes the message is part of the arc of the characters that are in the game, usually. Um, but yeah, I don't like to be preached about anything, especially when you have this kind of activists and nutcases trying to take advantage of the victim complex and when you enter in that extreme um, mindset, they are not, they are never satisfied because victim people that play victim, they need to always play the victim. So even if you satisfy their complaints, there was going to be always more complaints because if you satisfy their needs or their complaints, if they are satisfied, they stop being a victim, and then the reason for attracting attention is ended. So they need to always have something to complain with, and it will lead to an extreme point of view or an extreme and unreasonable conditions that don't satisfy, that will only satisfy one person, which is the victim itself or the complex of a victim. But yeah, I will stop rambling here. Let's go from some gaming deals. We got Dark Souls trilogy here. It's 50% off. We got also Dark Souls 2, Scholars of the First Sin, and we got also Dark Souls 3. Again, Deluxe Edition is the way to go. 50% off on Ashes of Riendell and the Ring City. We got Darkest Dungeon. This is part of the turn-based RPG Fest still. This is a very excellent game, the first one, and I think this one, Recreary Bundle or the Ancestral? I think it's the Ancestral Edition, if not mistaken. It has all the content there, the playable content, the new heroes, and the new dungeons, if not mistaken. We got also Banner Saga Trilogy. This is the Stoic Edition. I will leave the free games there, or I'll leave an edition here. But yeah, excellent trilogy here, very well received. The decisions that you make on the first game, the consequences will be felt throughout until the third game. So I think it's a very excellent way of playing this and replaying the game. Then we got also Wolfenstein. I put it here, the alternative history collection, which includes Youngblood, but Youngblood is not very well recommended. Only the first three games, the Old Blood, New World, and New Colossus, are the ones that are worth playing here. We got also King's Arthur Knight's Tale, part of the same fest here, 70% off on the base game. And then we got kind of the sequel, which is King Arthur Legion 9, 40% off of the game there. Then we got also Jagged Alliance free, 50% off. And then finally we got also Lamplighters League. Again, it's kind of very positive. I think it's was mostly positive. Now the recent ones, I think with the last patch that they did, improved a little bit here. The bugs that they were still persisting, but to all intents and purpose, as a warning, there is no official support now for the game because the way that Hairbraid Schemes cut ties with Paradox Interactive, and Paradox Interactive are the owners of the IP, and given that Hairbraid Scheme was the developer there, they cut ties. So there is supposedly, there was this final patch, and supposedly there is no official continued support. So this is basically the final version of the game, so take it with a grain of salt in there. If you are reticent, I do understand there. But similarly, it's a pretty good game with pretty excellent ideas. The same guys that did, if not mistaken, Miasma Chronicles and Mutant Year Zero. I think they are the same guys there, if not mistaken. But yeah, other than that, I will wrap up here for today with a plug on my Patreon for extra support. This extra support is more in line for me to get a storage solution, so I can get backups to backups of stuff that I do for my clients, and of course some extra space for the videos that I do for the channel. And with all that said, hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. So until then, Kunami Master out.